Over the last few seasons, the Kings have been thought of one of these teams that's up next. They've got a nice young core in De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and Keegan Murray. Obviously, they haven't had much playoff success, but it was like, oh, the Kings are coming. They finally got a nucleus, light the beam, right? And things are turning around in Sacramento. Here we sit 25 games into this season, and we're already hearing De'Aaron Fox is going to request a trade. And it seems like things are falling apart here rapidly for the Sacramento Kings. They've lost 4 straight games at home, and they're getting booed off their own floor. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm watching Kings games night to night, but I tune in, I check them out. They're a Pacific Division rival. And DeMar DeRozan, you see the thumbnail, right? And he's kind of been a mercenary, a journeyman star in the back end of his career, right? They bring in DeMar, and now it's pretty simple to me. Your 3 best players all want the ball at the same spot on the floor, at the nail. Fox, Sabonis, and DeMar. And they essentially made the move, Harrison Barnes out, DeMar DeRozan in. And it was funny because in the summer and in the preseason, I had a lot of people saying, like they like the move and this is going to, the Kings, here they come. And it's just a quick reminder that it's not all about talent. And sometimes it's more about fit, particularly when you work your way down the roster. When you look at your 2 main guys, your first and your 1A and your 1B, however you want to call it, right now you're talking about talent, right? Like, do you have Luka, Kyrie level talent? But as you work your way down to fitting players around your 2-star players, I could make the argument that fit is every bit as important as talent, and maybe even more so. And I think that that's what we're seeing with this Sacramento Kings team, because not only does it not fit just offensively in the spacing on the floor, but it seems as though it stunted the growth of Keegan Murray. And Harrison Barnes, Warrior fans, we've, ridiculed him for years for that 16 finals performance and just kind of not being the guy we wanted him to be, right? And we know he's not a star player. We know who he is, but he was their glue guy. He was a guy that could guard up and down the lineup, right? He could switch down onto bigs, switch out on the perimeter, and then he shot 40% from 3, and he did all of this while not really commanding touches. And so it gave space for Keegan Murray to develop. And now DeMar, Fox, it didn't make sense to me from the jump. So Kings fans, they're calling for Mike Brown's head, and he's kind of just throwing rotations at the wall. But ultimately, to me, what I see is a team with not enough defenders. I thought Keon Ellis was going to be the future 2-guard for them. And there's nights where I check, he doesn't even play. And you just look at this roster. Okay, De'Aaron Fox, he could defend if he wanted to, but that's not really who he's become, right? Sabonis, everyone respects his effort and physicality, but he's not a rim protector. You don't want him stepping out above the 3-point line defensively, right? Or offensively, really. Monk is a turnstile. Herter. And then Keegan Murray, while the effort is there, he's a bigger dude who doesn't move that well laterally out on the perimeter. And so you just left with this offensive roster that doesn't seem to have chemistry. That being said, 25 games in, they're only a few games out, right? If they roll off 5-6 wins in a row, they could be the 4 seed right now, right? It's not too late. But when you consider how it's looked, losing at home so much, Mike Brown seeming to kind of lose belief in the team, it seems as though and that's the other thing. When you're a new young team, right? When they jumped out the gate and they were 3rd in the West a few years ago, and you're this young team, there's all this hope and kind of blind faith. Like, here we come. This is us, right? But as you struggle and it doesn't come to fruition, I think it's harder for players to believe in what's being preached, the message day to day. And I think we're seeing that with Mike Brown. But I don't blame Mike Brown for this roster mess, but he's certainly not helping, shuffling things in and out. But when you combine that with the fact that they seem to be losing belief, as well as these De'Aaron Fox rumors, do the Kings make a panic move trade? No one's taken DeMar DeRozan, right? They've been trying to hand off Kevin Huerter for about 2 seasons now. But let's just say hypothetically, Okay, you need a defender. What if you went and got Robert Williams from Portland or something like that? Are you going to play a rim protector next to Sabonis? And so the route to me would be you either need a rim protector behind De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk in these offensive guys, or you need better perimeter defense in front of Sabonis. And I'm not sure how the Kings do that with what the pieces they have now. But ultimately, I think my point is, as we enter trade season now, it's not all about talent and adding more talent. The fit matters just as much, especially when you're looking at role players. How does that affect the development of another young player and beyond the chemistry of the locker room? And DeMar DeRozan, he has superstar talent, but he has none of the intangibles that seem to come along with that leadership and different things like that. And I know some of y'all may push back and say, oh, well, that's what I see. And as we enter trade season here across the league, and you jump in the trade machine and this and that trade, what I would encourage y'all to keep in mind is the fit is just as important as the talent. Now, all that being said, Steph, flex the Under Armour muscle and make the call. Bring that boy to the bay. Now I'm messing with y'all, Dub Nation. But yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on the Kings. I don't think it's over for them, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they make another panic move type of trade and have to completely pivot out of what they're doing here because they're getting booed off their own court at home. Mike Brown looks like he may be losing the ear of this young team. And as soon as Fox and Clutch decide to hit that button, all bets are off. Now back to my Dubs. We got the Pacers in town tonight who just smacked Sacramento last night. That's why I was checking that game out, doing a little prep work for this Pacers-Warriors matchup. And the Pacers, as we know, styles make fights. Andrew Nembhard has been a thorn in our side, right? Siakam. They have several players that tend to play well against us. They're a deep team, and they're going to try to get out space and pace and score the ball. And so if the Warriors can defend the three-point line and stay dialed in, I like our chances tonight. And I don't want to call it another must-win game, but this is a game not just for the standings and how important they are because everything's so jumbled up, but just for morality. You get the big win in Minnesota. What does that mean if you let this young Pacers team that's been very underachieving this year come into our crib and knock that win off, right? I'll be back with that breakdown tomorrow. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.